YNW Melly back in court today. His attorney saying the state has not given enough evidence to this point to keep him in jail, but prosecutors say they have proven plenty that shows he needs to remain behind bars.
February 2020, Melly was involved in a multi-inmate fight inside the day room of his area unit and was given a DR for his role in the fight. October 2020, placed on a room restriction for refusing to go back to his cell as he was trying to hide while on the phone.
YNW Melly's lawyers are trying to get him a plea deal similar to Bortland's to get him out of jail. Using a lawsuit against the county to leverage their argument inside a court, it would be announced today, YNW Melly sues the Broward Sheriff's Office for cruel treatment and is seeking immediate release from prison. Melly also claims they have not allowed him to see or speak with family in 3 years. Where described in Melly's lawsuit is that he's been living in a freezing cold jail cell with no edible food for the last couple years. It was even shared. An interview from Melly's mother paints a disturbing picture of Melly's life in jail, making it sound like he will not last much longer, where she is ranting over the fact that Melly was granted a mistrial in the first trial, essentially beating the case, but he was still left inside a jail.
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail, they don't give it to him.
Melly's mother would explain that she is absolutely heartbroken for her son. She feels helpless because he's not even being treated like a human inside a jail.
When you saw Melly's statement, just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life, as a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We've tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail, because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him, and the jail they make their own rules. And I don't think that's fair, because I know that they need to answer to someone too.
Alongside this in their lawsuit, they are also claiming the jail isn't protecting YNW Melly. It would be shared. Florida rapper YNW Melly targeted inside of his cell block today. Sources claim that he was targeted for commissary goods and/or block authority, where oftentimes inside a jail, when somebody new comes into the cell block, they will oftentimes go after the biggest person or even the most popular to make a name for themselves, which is exactly what happened to YNW Melly as described in the lawsuit. This would end up going viral on social media, getting many reactions from even Charleston White, who would share that this is what YNW Melly should be living like. He shouldn't get special treatment because he's a famous rapper, but comment down below what you think.
Even the YNW Melly, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. Homie, when you take a life, homie, you ain't got a right to complain about a motherfucking thing about being mistreated when you done chose to play somebody.
Even rap OG Boosie would respond, speaking on the stress that Jamie King has been going through in YNW Melly's situation.
Okay, so then I met his mama while he was in. Oh, okay. I met his mom while he was in, and she real, bro. You know, she real.
She's stressed out. I heard she had a.
Yeah, she real, and I reached my hand out to him, cause I'm real. Yeah, I reached out to him, bro. I met his mom, and she a good woman, bro. And when I see them mamas like that, it remind me of what my mom was going through, bro.
When the lawsuit was brought up inside of the court hearing today, the feds would counter by getting a deal made with YNW Melly's ex-girlfriend, who was arrested when trying to re-enter the United States.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023.
This happened at a perfect time for the feds because right when YNW Melly submitted his lawsuit, Mariah, who was supposed to be testifying in the original trial but escaped the United States, would try to re-enter the United States to see family members that she has missed, and she would be arrested at the airport. During her first court hearing, the judge would make her a deal, saying if you agree to testify against YNW Melly, then you're free to go. She accepted it instantly, making it the worst news possible for YNW Melly. She wrote on Facebook on her drive home, "To my village, thank you to my village. I love you all so much. God's plan, not mine." Because what they found inside of her iCloud account will not only remove the entire lawsuit, but it will also sentence YNW Melly to life in prison. And let me explain. They found disturbing evidence in her iCloud of Melly forcing her to not testify in trial. This is known as witness tampering by using the jail phone. This carries a life sentence in prison, regardless if Melly actually did the crime to sack Chaser in juvie.
The state filing 6 new charges against Demmons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction.
The witness tampering case is separate, meaning there is a world where Melly wins the case of sack Chaser and juvie passing, but if he's found guilty in the witness tampering case, he will go to prison for life. Even YNW Juvie's father knew Melly was witness tampering for the last few years. He even exposed it during a public interview.
There was this kind of crazy way that Melly was communicating. He wasn't allowed to use the phone, but he was passing notes to people, and then this person's calling this person and then that person.
Saying like to me, they going through extreme measures, try to cover up or convince people not to testify, like Mariah mom. They was using code words like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's baby mom. And
with this presented to the judge inside of the court hearing, it would affect his decision on Melly's bond release. So he would ask the prosecutors for reasons why Melly shouldn't be allowed even on a house arrest. Here's the evidence they gave as to why. You comment down below if you would release him or not after hearing it, because they found text messages of Melly admitting to the crime, which they would show the judge.
The PC Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly count says what?
After that, SHHHH.
While also showing the judge, Melly cannot be allowed on a house arrest because this was his reaction only 5 hours after the crime took place of him dancing in a parking lot with YNW Bortland.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey. No, still turned. Regardless of what happened, you already know.
Trying to prove to the judge that Melly didn't show an ounce of sadness for the passing of his 2 best friends. But the worst of it all is they would share with the judge footage of YNW Melly exiting the studio, sitting directly in the back left seat of the Jeep while waiting for the other 3 to get inside. This is important because official court documents read, the direction of items traveling from left to right in the car supports the claim that they originated from the back left seat where YNW Melly was positioned. Even YNW Juvie's mother confirmed he was sitting there.
Can you state your name, your full legal name for the jury?
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the victims in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right-hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Janelle.
This ended up resulting in Melly's lawyers responding, where they would share with the judge evidence from the original trial, where the prosecutors had to admit there was never a firearm even found.
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what was used.
Okay.
Melly's lawyers trying to prove to the judge there's nothing to be worried about. It wasn't Melly. There was never an item even found. This supports the claim that it was a drive-by, with the opposing party driving away with said item. They would then share evidence found inside of Bortland's home, trying to prove that Bortland was the real issue and not Melly.
Melly's co-defendant YNW Bortland was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-county warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Cortland Henry, aka Bortland, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues the alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamel Dimmons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd, the same day the warrant claims Bortland allegedly tampered with a witness.
Where it would be announced in the court records, here are images of alleged notes discovered during the home raid of YNW Bortland's home last week, as filed into the Broward clerks by the state. Alongside these photos of Bortland detailing where certain jurors were sitting and a description of what they looked like. Meaning, if these jurors found YNW Melly guilty in the original trial, it looked as if YNW Bortland was gonna go slide for Melly.
To keep it real, this is sloppy. Bortland, how the f you gonna have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy sh! Like, come the f on. It's like doing a and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage of the is in your DVD player. They be like, oh, okay, thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib.
But here's where it gets concerning for Melly, because YNW Bortland accepting his plea deal will be able to validate all of the new evidence the prosecutors want to use against Melly, such as why did rapper Fredo Bang pick up YNW Melly on the night of the crime on the side of the road?
And Chris Thomas are. So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Devins is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location, to one of his friends, Frederick Givens. Frederick Givens is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Givens, then about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin where Mr. Devins has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone calls.
Because after the crime took place, YNW Bortland drove Sack Chaser and Juvie to the nearest hospital, while YNW Bortland left the vehicle, hid in a bush until rapper Fredo Bang came and picked him up. They know this because of Mariah's iCloud account, where Melly called Mariah from inside of the bush. Not only that, but they also want to use evidence against Melly from Facebook of a photo of Melly with Young Thug, trying to claim that Melly is a part of the same Red Street team as Young Thug.
Same thing, the use of the slap term, 5-point star, snake. He's saying he's YSL, he's hanging with him. And he puts up his YNW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Devins has big B hand signs displayed.
Starting to see with individuals again, I'm assuming that's also Young Thug. That's also unknown.
Yes.
Also important to your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Also publicly available for anyone to see and capture.
But the worst evidence of all that they want to use against Melly is from an ex-O-Block member who shared a secret that Melly told King Von. Right before King Von passed and Melly was arrested, the two were best friends. King Von told people in O-Block that Melly was asking him for advice on how to deal with people in a certain way. If you know anything about Von, you know what I mean.
Did Vaughn really tell you that Melly told him that he was two friends?
He ain't come out and say, like, we got into an argument. And so, you know, if you know, when people could say something without saying it. And so he told me, like, once I posted what I posted, Vaughn was mad at me. Bro, why you put up there, bro? Walk the bam. I'm like, you sitting up here, like, you know the love we got. You do this for us, but you gonna trust that his two friends? And he said, them was trying to extort him. And so I'm like, if they was trying to extort him, then why are you still around them?
And now with YNW Bortlen accepting his plea deal, all of this will be validated by Bortlen. Because when you learn the details of the deal that he accepted, you understand this is the end of YNW Melly. It's explained, and I quote, as predicted, YNW Bortlen took the plea deal, but he also agreed to a proffer. This means that he's talking. The sentence is to accessory after the fact. He will do 10 years plus 6 of probation. Academics would explain what this really means. He wrote, the judge says on both charges, Bortlen pled no contest. To that, he has to provide a factual basis for him to accept the plea. This means you have to tell a factual story of how you indeed committed accessory to the crime, which confirms that the crime actually happened. This is what YNW Melly is charged with. It's a gonna plea, except with the proffer, he can't say yes, ma'am. He's got to sing like Franklin.
I did tweet out saying people are upset. I said, this is a gonna plea. This is a gonna plea. This isn't a plea saying you have to tell on him, but this is a plea that you're going to have to provide all the details that they were missing to convict him. And that's why it's a gonna plea. Why do I say he signed a gonna plea? Because YNW Melly, and I watched the case, we covered it. YNW Melly's case is that, number one, you guys have not done a job to prove that this is actually they are proved, but prove that this is a homicide with this person being the offender. Also, the accessory after the fact plea confirms that Bortlen, that's kind of like almost like a sub part of a conspiracy, except you weren't with the conspiracy at first. You came in after the fact. What that proved is that they came in. Oh my God, what that proved is that Bortlen worked with someone after he acknowledged that a took place in trying to cover it up. You hear what I just said? When pleading to an accessory to after the fact, you have to acknowledge that the happened and you assisted someone or in some way to cover the. Now, if Melly's statement is, how do we know that? And then secondly, how do we know who did it? Because they said it was a drive-by.
An easier way of understanding this is Bortlen is required to tell how the crime went down from his own perspective, somebody inside of the car. He doesn't have to say Melly's name, but when he tells the police that Sack Chaser and Juvie passed from a situation that happened inside of the car, meaning there wasn't a drive-by, Melly will then be found guilty because of how much evidence they have against him. But comment down below if you think it is snitching, because a famous lawyer does as well, but leave a like if you're still a Melly fan.
All right, let's talk YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen. He is now doing the triple Lindy. For those youngsters that don't know what the triple Lindy is, it is when you do several flips off a high dive, and he will be flipping. He is going to be tell-all about anything he knows about the double case, and they will know if he's telling the truth or telling a lie when he gives his full quote-unquote confession as to what happened that evening. And that's what happens. A lot of times where guys are in the prison for 4 or 5 years awaiting trial and looking at a life sentence, and they're offered 10 years where they'll be home probably in another 3 years that he'll serve, he decides to flip and become a cheese eater. And that's what happens a lot of times on these cases. And I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner than it did. He held out for quite some time. But long story short is it looks like he's going to flip, and it makes the case on YNW Melly, depending on what he says, which I anticipate he'll say that YNW Melly is responsible.